There's some particular illness issues which can be particularly problematic in the workplace. For example, anxiety disorders, things like social anxiety disorder and panic attacks. It can make it very difficult for some people to go into an environment which essentially is a social environment. And I've had patients with a social anxiety disorder who are told that they could go and get a job, for example, at a front of house in a busy business. Now, there's no way in the world somebody with a severe social anxiety disorder would be able to do that. I mean, it might be that they could work up towards that as part of a program, but to go straight into such an environment is totally unrealistic. But again, some of the onus is on the individual to articulate that problem and then work with the potential employer and with other supports, which we'll talk about later, towards achieving those sorts of aims and goals. Schizophrenia is a disorder which is associated with various symptoms, and some of those symptoms can impact on people's ability to work. So, for example, some people might get very oversensitized and paranoid about other people, might get what we call referential ideas from others, that other people are making fun of them or laughing about them. That can be very distracting for them. They could also have hallucinations, things like hearing voices, which could be very distracting for them. Some people with schizophrenia also have problems with what are called negative symptoms. So that's more lethargy, apathy, difficulty in getting motivated, and that can sometimes be associated also with cognitive problems. So the difficulties in certain aspects of thinking, and these sets of symptoms can be made much worse, for example, in a very overstimulated environment where there's an awful lot of things going on, a lot of people rushing about, a lot of noise. That can be very difficult for people with schizophrenia. Also, for people with schizophrenia, I think having too many competing tasks and having to juggle a number of tasks, it's difficult for most of us to juggle too many complex tasks, but I think for people with schizophrenia in particular, especially if they still have some residual symptoms, that can be particularly difficult for them. People with bipolar disorder characterized by mood swings, ups, which are when people are feeling elevated or irritable in terms of their mood, a lot of rapid thoughts going on in their mind, are very distractible, can become a bit grandiose. And the opposite pole of bipolar, the depressive pole, where people feel miserable, lethargic, can't get going in the morning, find it very difficult to motivate themselves or see worth in themselves or when doing things. And both of those poles of bipolar can make it difficult to succeed in the workplace. And then some of the treatments which we use for some of these disorders can also be problematic. The classic example would be some of the antipsychotic medications and mood stabilizer medications, which can be very sedating and can make it difficult to push yourself to get out of bed in the morning.